Pisces. I am finally live. I had to refresh the page. Anyways, welcome to your July reading. This is going to be a little bit more of a deep dive. We're going to talk a little bit on some general content. We're going to talk about some career. We're going to talk about some love. We're going to get some general advice, a casual warning or thing to look out for or thing to be aware of. And then we tend to end on a little bit of almost like advice from spirit or whatever I feel like is catered toward those who may be listening. So I'm just going to jump into it. Essentially, we're going to get a good vibe for Pisces and see how our July is going to go. So first thing is Knave of Bows, which is a really, really dramatic looking card. There we go. Knave of Bows. Shaman of the Clouds, understanding how the vision of reality is distorted by our own mental projections, intelligence, slyness, and overall vision. So overall, your July is almost like based upon your own preconceived notion of July. Like July is what you want it to be. Kind of like that vibe of like the world kind of being your oyster in a way, you know? So that's a good way to start off July. Now let's jump into career, Pisces. Oh, so you got 10 of bows, so same suit. So bows, same suit. This is called losing oneself. Painful but therapeutic detachment, problems that can no longer be ignored, conclusions of a cycle, or the end of hostility. So if there's any kind of awkwardness, uncomfortability, or just static in your work environment, there may be drastic changes coming. I'm not sure if that means, from the way it looks like, it's like when the dominoes all fall. I don't know if Pisces, maybe the company that you're working for is going under and they're not saying anything, but there's definitely something going on. And I feel like people are not being honest at the same time, they're just trying to like literally do their own thing and not let everyone else know. Kind of similar to that whole like, pay no attention to the man behind the green curtain. Like they're trying to cover their tracks. So just be aware that there's probably some fuckery afoot. But do you? So that while, their house of cards falls, you can still be someplace safe, Now, in terms of love, let's see where we at. Ooh. Very like soothing change to my energy, which is interesting. So in terms of love, there may be, how can I put this? Like, this is you. This is whatever the conflict is. Now, this conflict generally is going to represent more so issues with either society or parental figures, in-laws. But typically, I equate it to be more so society. So there may be something that, in a lot of ways, you may feel like society is looking down upon you or maybe judging you. Or maybe there's just someone who's an authority figure to you that just is making you feel bad for trying to live your life. And essentially, I hate to say it like this, but this opinion doesn't necessarily matter as much as we think it does, because if you decide that's what you want to do, like, you'll be completely fine. I feel like it's more so don't cry over spilled milk as opposed to just kind of like wallowing in your issues. Like, you don't want to sit around and feel like I just imagine sitting on soggy bread, like, ew, like, get off of me. Like literally like uncomfortable, just But it's all about taking control. So that's nine of bows, which is hilarious because you literally been all in the bows. Fear of traveling, fear of solitude or change that can be the first step of new maturity. Crisis, the painful birth of new understanding. So once again, it's like taking accountability and responsibility for the life you want to live and really not being apologetic about it. It's your life. Like, literally, it's your life. Now, in terms of general advice for Pisces, let's see what we have. Number one, which is the ancestral shaman, the first magician, the desire to modify reality with the strengths of one's imagination, initiation, practical and dialectical skills, great potential that has not yet been expressed. So there's a lot of good inside of you that hasn't necessarily been seen. Maybe you have talents that you haven't necessarily gotten to share with the world and or at the extent that you would really like to be seen. But ultimately, people could see good in you. They just know that there's a lot more good to come. And I think you need to focus on radiating that outwardly, you know? Now, in terms of what to look out for or any potential warnings for the month of July, don't rush your journey. This is all about taking very, very calculated steps and moves. Finding the way that you can think about, like, if you're transporting yourself from coast to coast and you literally had to be able to find routes that would accommodate the animal that you're riding on, how much food that you need, how you need to plan to have like so much of the other resources, whether that be, you know, what you plan to barter, the clothing on your back, anything else that you may need for the journey. It's about taking calculated and well thought out time to make sure steps. That's the feeling. It's movement with a sure purpose between every leg's work. You know what I mean? We don't move without a reasoning behind it. So essentially, I think what this is also telling you is that if you feel absolutely no emotional connection to what you're being asked to do, you may want to just express that and say, yeah, I don't know exactly how much I believe in that or how much I could go along with that if it's not truly something that I believe in. Now, let's see if there is a message from your either higher self or maybe like a guardian angel. Seven of Drums. Which is about suppleness, capacity to adapt to unforeseen events, tolerance, adaptation, and twist of fate. I feel like it's about adaptation and twist of fate. You may be called into some type of situation in July that really, really may make you very, very uncomfortable, or maybe it's just not a situation that you planned on having to deal with. But essentially, if you can handle it with grace, I think the twist of fate aspect means that you'll be heavily rewarded for being the bigger person. And I know that's going to be a lot to ask because there's a lot of water in this card. And obviously, this person is lost in what they're doing, so there's a lot of emotion. So just be aware of that. Keep your calm and know that, you know, you're on a long road. And when you take long distance trips, sometimes there's going to be twists and turns and things behind the mountain that you didn't necessarily see. But maintain your cool, keep your composure, because that's the message from your higher self. They want you to know that you're supported, and if you behave correctly. there will be rewards to follow for being the bigger person. Now, I'm going to see if I feel anything as far as like an intuitive message. I feel like the vibe I really get is like, okay, this is going to sound really weird, right? Because like most people wouldn't tell you to do this, but I feel like Pisces needs to take a moment to kind of like jot down all of their accomplishments. Like I feel like they've been doing some really cool stuff, trying some new things, going out there and really, really challenging the old version of how they used to see themselves and really choosing to put themselves out there on Front Street. I just think that you really need to take a chance and acknowledge your growth, because while you are mid process, it's still really, really awesome to sit there and take account of everything that you've already manifested toward your larger goal. So don't short change yourself, you know? Give yourself the credit and give yourself the recognition, because it's not easy to get out there. And if you're taking the time to be seen and to be heard and to present your best version of yourself, that's something to be celebrated amongst loved ones, you know? So don't feel guilty for taking care of, you know, anything that nourishes your higher self and makes you feel closer to your goals. But other than that, Pisces, I think that was a pretty good one. So yeah, if you got some good use out of that reading, thumbs up. If you're new here, subscribe, hit that bell. That way you won't miss any of the other signs that are going to be coming up. And other than that, thank you so much for watching this. Yeah, and I will see you all in August.